for this month's class, we are creating a 1 minute scene and bringing it to production. We have to use something that we've written previously. It can't be anything new, which makes sense. We're not always going to be writing something new and getting it produced. We have to be able to revise things. So to me, the writing part of it sounded pretty easy on its face. I was wrong. I was real wrong. Choosing a piece that I wanted to narrow down to just a minute proved to be more difficult than expected. Largely because I started thinking about the practicality of actually producing it, which I probably should, concern myself with more than I typically do. But I write to write and not necessarily to think about how to actually create something. That's out of my wheelhouse, and so I've avoided it. I can't do that this month. And so I went all the way back to analysis and criticism. I think that was month 4. And found a compilation of stories that I had written as a creative nonfiction piece. Just anecdotes from my boyfriend's time in the Army. He was in the U.S. military for 10 years and has some pretty comical anecdotes. And so I tossed 3 of them into, one document. Thinking about how to actually film one of them really put me off track. Like trying to think about how I'm going to make this thing. What do we need for this? How many people do I really need to be in here? Had me start writing it and completely forget to post anything. So I did all that late and that stressed me out. But it's definitely a different experience. I did get some really good feedback from a couple of my classmates that helped me in ways I don't think they intended it to, because the biggest takeaway for me was that my setting and what was going on was not at all clear. And it was to me because, one, I've heard the story a million times, and I wrote the piece that it's based on. So that was definitely a good lesson to learn. Like, make sure that it's clear to someone who has no background in it, which is something that I thought I understood and thought I did, but had to improve. So revising it was really helpful. I think that it's much more clear now, and hopefully I'll be able to live action film it. That'll be an interesting exercise in itself. We're going to test the limits of my camera phone with that one. But I'm more excited at the end of the week than I was at the beginning of the week. I was one of the people that freaked out and went, I'm a writer, not a filmmaker. But I think it's going to be fun. So, yay.